Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Pred has confirmed he is back in Texas after going back to Australia for a couple of weeks. We can only wonder why this might possibly be the case, with announcements expected for where he might go as his next team over just the coming days. Also a bit of drama in the World Series of Warzone side, as there's always some drama somewhere. Very much enjoyed to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate. Thought this is pretty cool as well. The UV FaZe clan partnership, look at Gizmo as well. Getting a star of the show really here, to be fair. And of course ZooMaa, I'm sure, was loving this for Keely and all the boys. So cool stuff. But speaking of ZooMaa, there was actually a bit of a development yesterday that I definitely wanted to mention for you guys, related to the infamous 4 in 23 moment. Some people call it ZooMaa Day, right, the 23rd of April, and it goes back to the 2017 World Championship. You guys, I'm sure, have heard ZooMaa's story around this, and the reason why this was such a big deal when ZooMaa had 4 kills, 23 deaths back in 2017 was because the year before, Priestahh had set what was considered to be the all-time record in terms of the worst map anyone's ever had. I think it was a Stronghold, Capture the Flag, during Black Ops 3, I think it was FaZe versus Envoy. And Priestahh, who of course was ZooMaa's teammate at the time, went 4 kills, 22 deaths on a Stronghold, Capture the Flag. And Clay didn't really have any excuses for this, right? He was just like, well, I had a bad map. I didn't even realize I had that low kills. I was just playing the game and I was getting smoked apparently. So they bowed out of the tournament at that point. So that was known. The 4 in 22 was known as pretty bad scoreline. And then ZooMaa came along 1 year later and dropped an even worse one at 4 in 23. So that's why it was such a big deal at the time. And it's still remembered fondly, or not fondly, depending on your perspective, to the present day. Now, the story today is, right, from ZooMaa, that the lights were too bright, right? This is the thing, that the lights were blinding his eyes, and he was telling the referees that I couldn't play like this, and they fixed it, and then I think they won this series anyway, 3-1, after they lost map 1 here to straight ripping, which was Dashy's real first, breakout tournament as a team. But this story about the lights, I'd only really heard over the last couple of years with ZooMaa describing it, because at the time, I was not sure that was the story, and I thought they must have just been missing something here. But I thought at the time ZooMaa was talking about the controller, and some sort of, like, I don't know if he had no aim assist or something like that anyway. I thought that was the explanation that he gave, rather than anything to do with the lights. And maybe this has changed, because people actually went back and found his original comment on this from 5+ years ago, when, and this is legit, the comment still exists here on the Reddit, and this is his actual account. And he says, before I get cooked, my controller broke and my Cronus was spazzing out. MLG did a great job helping me find another controller and fixing the Cronus. Didn't want to end the game because I didn't want us to forfeit. Love you all, #FaZe up. So just to say that that was the explanation that ZooMaa originally gave at the time. Nothing to do with the lights, and maybe the lights were an issue as well that he just didn't mention. But I just wanted to mention it because people were wondering whether, like, what is the truth here, right? Were the lights actually an issue, or has that been fabricated over the last couple of years, or was it a controller issue, which is what I thought it was at the time, and that's also what ZooMaa confirmed at the time. So I don't know, thought I'd put that out there. Intrigued to your guys' thoughts on that one in the comments below. Also, then we've got to talk World Series of Warzone. So yesterday there were some CDL adjacent players playing in this. I'm pretty sure they tried to get more pros to play in this, but a lot of them just didn't want to or backed out, and I can't blame them because Warzone competitive is not the best, I would say, but we did have Illy, Hook, and Temp were playing in it. Of course, Slack was here, Blaz, like Crowder, as we'll get into in a second, at our team. So there's a few names that are definitely associated with the COD scene in this one. And, well, actually, at this point in the tournament last night, for this, like, last chance qualifier in the Americas, top 4 qualify, Crowder's team currently sat 10th at this point, and were not too far away from making it happen. And guess what they did over the coming hours? They made it work. Now, this is pretty funny, right? So as Jake Hell says, there were meant to be more CDL pros here, but one person told me a few bailed because they were all getting slammed. So, definitely the guys that play more Warzone competitive will be better. They know the routes, they know where to land, like all this type of stuff that the pros don't necessarily know. And look, I'm not expecting Crowder to turn up to London in September and win the entire thing, because there is some skill gap in Warzone competitive, even if it's just, some of the factors that we just mentioned. But Scrappy replied FaZe, actually, with this. And it's surprising that Scrappy would reply, because it almost seems to confirm in some sense that Scrappy was, you know, wanting to, well, he was going to play maybe, and then he bailed, apparently. And, well, we didn't know that, but because he replies, you could think that maybe he feels attacked by JKL's tweet. You could say maybe he's talking about, you know, the situation compared to other pros. But JKL's like, sorry, bro, I should have defended your honor. Get a job. Won't have time to tweet if I do that. So pretty funny stuff. And Scrappy hasn't tweeted much in days, and this is what he decides to reply to. I thought was pretty funny. So I think the JKL expected to get some pro in his replies saying something. I didn't think it would be Scrappy. But thankfully, some of our guys are actually pretty good at this. And Crowder is, well, incredible for Crowder, right? Because this guy, formerly known as Replays, well, he was Replays when he won the World Championship in Call of Duty as a player on Denial Esports way back in 2015 with JCap, Clayster, and Attach, of course. Attach still at that point remains the youngest ever Call of Duty World Champion, 18 months, or 18 years and 2 months, I think Attach was when he won that, with Replays back in the day. Then Replays retired, then he came back again in World War II, won another event against OpTic Stage 1 playoffs, then he retired again, became a coach for FaZe, and, well, now has been doing content alongside that over the last couple of years, and is still a great Call of Duty player, and manages to qualify with this team for the $1.2 million World Series of Warzone Grand Finals in London, going on in, I think it's maybe 18th or 16th of September, something like that. I wasn't sure I'd be able to go to it, so I didn't get a ticket, and now all the tickets are sold out, but if I can go, I think I might be able to find a way to get a ticket, hopefully. So, yeah, possibly will be there, depending on if I can make it that weekend. It's only one day, I think, which feels a little bit like if you're going to go down to London, or if you're going to fly in from anywhere else to London for an event, you kind of want it to be like a 3-day event, you know what I mean, like a normal thing is, rather than just going for an afternoon. But whatever, I'm sure it's going to be a fun time for those attending. I may or may not be there, and Crowder will be there. He has the chance to, now it's probably not going to happen, let's be honest, but he does have a chance to win the World Championship as a player, win the World Championship as a coach, which he did for FaZe right back in 2021, and win the World Series of Warzone. So it's possible, it's unlikely, but it's cool to see nonetheless that there is some representation. And, you know, I think the likes of Tommy are going to be there and stuff like this, like former COD Pro players that have now done the Warzone thing for some time. But it's impressive that a guy like Crowder, that, okay, look, he plays a lot of Warzone, he probably understands it a lot better than some of the actual CDL pros do that play it, you know, in their downtime between, between seasons, really. So maybe it's expected that Crowder will have a good result, but it's still pretty impressive nonetheless. Let's talk about the OpTic situation then, because we saw what Kenny had to say yesterday on the role that he is looking forward to playing. He's looking forward to being on that flex role. He thinks he's at his best on the AR, and we'll see what they do. I know there's been some discussion ever since that was rumored, like, what will OpTic do for the announcement? Will they do anything special, right, for the Kylo Ken thing? We see that of all the organizations out there, the organization that's probably bringing on the most people, I think James Sellers, actually, who was formerly at Deserto, right? He was hosting the podcast, The Reverse Sweep, right, last season. He joined OpTic the other day to their content team. And I know that people have been asking, like, yeah, bringing a lot of new people, like, what are they doing in that content team, you know? Because a lot of OpTic's content, a lot of it's very good, but, you know, it hasn't taken massive strides, I would say, over the last couple of years or so. But they're still intending to do exactly that and upgrade their content team, upgrade their production team, while a lot of other organizations are letting people go. OpTic is still expanding their staffing, which is great to see for the ecosystem in general, but it does mean that they should have the resources to do something quite good. You know, we talked the Kylo Ken thing, right, the lightsaber. There's many options out there for how you make that work. I know that people in the comments a few videos ago were saying like Obi-Wan Kenobi or something like that. Maybe that's a bit cheesy, but you know what I mean. There's options out there for how you would do it. But the Pred thing is the one where, will we get these announced at the same time? Will OpTic go, all right, here's our roster of 4. They probably will. Or would they announce Pred first, then Kenny later, if it is going to be Kenny, which we're pretty sure that it is. It's almost certainly going to be Pred. Now, Shotzzy's been going live, and surprisingly has not leaked all that much over the last couple of days, but Pred himself turns on the stream yesterday and pretty much confirms what we've all thought has been the case. He went back, so he did this whole tour of the States, right, after the World Championship. He went to Florida, he went to New York, he went to, I think, LA, possibly, because, yeah, he did that Snapchat or whatever it was, Insta story, where he was just around the corner from the 100 Thieves headquarters, so, you know, he was doing a good job baiting the community there. Then he went back to Australia, and as of a couple of days ago, he's back in the States. So back in Texas, where, let's be honest, Seattle were based in Texas, so people who constantly say, oh, like Pred and Sib, their location is Dallas on Twitter, they must be joining OpTic, but no, they're based in Dallas last year, and the apartment that Pred's streaming from is the same one that he was in when he was on the Seattle Surge. But he's back in Texas, and you've got to wonder why this might be the case.
My Texas, yeah, bro. It was 114. See, I do degrees, but I'm assuming that's hot. Open the blinds, nah. If I open the blinds, the camera lighting. Chat was good, man. For real, my PC last night crashed, man. My PC last night crashed, and I was like, fuck, man.
Pred apparently also said on stream, and I couldn't find this clip unfortunately, but I know people were discussing it, that the chat was asking him, right, like, why are you in Texas, Pred? It's a bit strange, is it not? Like, you know, you don't need to be back in the States, right? Theoretically, you could stay in Australia for a bit longer, but of course implying that, well, he's got to be there for the announcement. And Pred, I think, said something to the effect of, oh, I'm just here to collect some things, like when I was on Seattle, I had to pick up a few things and all this. And it's like, oh yeah, sure, Pred, sure, that's the reason why you're there. These images are photoshopped, by the way, if you guys are wondering. There's that image of Pred with his like bag on or whatever, and I think I shared this for you guys yesterday, but people have been photoshopping them into the reflection, which I thought was pretty funny, in a similar way to this one that was photoshopped in from back in the day in the Hex Quarters, which obviously isn't real. I guess I'll just, you know, make it a little bit bigger so you guys can see what's going on the left-hand side. Pretty funny stuff that people were doing earlier this season when they thought Pred was joining OpTic then, and now almost certainly that is exactly going to be the case. There was also this one, right, because a lot of the guys, so basically Pred was on stream last night playing with Scump and Zinni and all this on Apex Legends, and a lot of the guys were searching to try and hit like Predator rank or whatever, and then people were like, oh, Pred, you know, another classic here from Free Dave Paddy. So this is almost certainly going to be happening now. We, you know, initially when you hear the rumors, things can change, right, and this is the case with teams like Thieves and teams like Rocker right now, where the rosters that we have rumored for them might not guaranteed be the case. Things can still turn around, but when it's been weeks since a team has been rumored and the contracts have basically been signed, then you know, I think it's pretty much a done deal. So it just depends how OpTic announce this, and I'd be interested to hear their perspective on how they think it's going to work, because it's not a team that's guaranteed to succeed, but I think it's an upgrade on what they previously had, and I'll be interested to know Pred's perspective on how the SMG partnership is going to work with Shotzzy, because there was a lot of talk about that at the start of this offseason, that maybe Envoy could be a better partner there for Shotzzy. I think the way they've gone is probably the correct way, but and certainly in terms of Pred and his future as a content creator and as a brand, like Pred's going to be massive under OpTic over the coming years, absolutely no doubt about it in my opinion. But very much interested to hear your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Why does he look like the teacher from The Incredibles?
Yeah, I wanted TS and causing turmoil in their camp. Yeah. Oh shit.
Is that true?
Guys.
Sorry, I got called the teacher from The Incredibles.
I don't know. I don't know if Zen's back.